Hey guys, Sam Lab Tech here. I trust you guys are doing excellent. Maybe you've been wondering, you would like to switch DAWs and you would like to know a little bit about Studio One. Maybe you have used Logic in the past. Maybe you have used Pro Tools, Cubase, whatever it is. Maybe you've heard of Studio One. You want to try it out, and so you would like to learn a little bit more about Studio One. That's what this lesson is about. All right, great. So first things first, the way you do this, I'm going to try and knock this out within um, 10 minutes. So just bear with me. If you would like to know everything, this is like an introduction to Studio One. So you just learn as much as you can within a few minutes. Okay, I'm going to try and knock this out within 10 minutes. Okay, so first things first, you go to google.com, go to personas.com. Okay, now, when you're on Personas' website, okay, you go to their products, okay, and when you go to their products, you go to software, and then it's going to bring all their softwares. Go to the one that says recording software, okay, because that's what you are trying to use it for, okay, recording software. So when you are recording software, let me refresh it. The page is probably not refreshed, okay. So when you are recording software right here, you will see Studio One, okay. So you can click on it to learn more about it. Okay, you click on it, see what they say about it, overview, learn a little bit, of what Studio One is about, things of that nature. Okay, I'm just gonna go straight to the point and get to the bottom of this lesson. Okay, so you go to buy now. Okay, and you are like, wow, they got Studio One artists, they got Studio One professional, they got Studio One Spear. Which one should I use? There's a few factors for you to consider. Realize it says buy now, 99.95. Buy now, about $400. It doesn't say buy now, and it doesn't say buy now, monthly, annual. Okay, so that means Sphere is a subscription-based, um, you know, um, um, subscription-based option. Okay, and then these two, professional and artists, are just one-time purchase. Okay, so you realize that if you go with artists, okay, you lose certain things. Anything dimmed out, you are not getting. Okay, and everything whited out, you are getting. So you realize there's more things whited out here. Okay, with the subscription. Okay, my advice to you, if you are somebody who is just beginning and you are just trying to get your hands on Studio One or trying to just test yourself out, I'd advise you to go with artists. Okay, if you're somebody like me who's doing it professionally, with for business, that kind of thing, I'd advise you to go with professional on one basis, on the basis that you don't need certain things that are being promoted through the membership. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit more and see what are a few things we can learn about this. Okay, so if you realize, okay, professional, you don't get Deep Fly One, Presence XT, and all that. If you know about it and it's important to you, you may want to do that so you get the upgrades and stuff like that. Okay, Notion, if that is important to you. Okay, online collaboration tools and all this and all that. Okay, and expert chat and all that. To me, I feel like it's not necessary for my workflow. I don't need it. So for me, professional works well for me. Okay, so just to introduce you to how you buy the software, that's kind of how you get there. Okay, so now you have the software. You're trying to figure out, how do I use this software? This is crazy. It's too much going on. How do I use it? Let's get to the bottom of it. So first things first, when you go to Studio One, you open Studio One. All right, it's gonna open up for you. Okay. So when Studio One opens up for you, it's gonna load. It's gonna take long depending on what you have on there. I have a lot of um, you know, third-party plugins, so it's gonna take a while for it to load. If you are starting it fresh without, it's not gonna show any of these. Okay, so it's gonna take a while to load. So let's give it a few seconds. Okay. All right, great. So it loads up, okay? And a few things that you need to know about Studio One. I'm going to fly through this, okay? So your page might not look like all this stuff with all these projects here, okay? Because I do a lot of projects, so all these projects are here. Yours might look a bit different and a bit artistic. Okay, but whatever be the case, you just need to understand the basic things. Okay, new song. Okay, new song is the same thing as basically having the platform where you make your beats and stuff like that. Okay, with the platform or the interface where you select your track, you play your virtual instruments. That's where you make your song. Okay, let's put it that way. New song is where you make your song. Okay, new project, okay, is basically once you're done with your song, where you bring your song to master it, okay? So you can record and mix in new song. Sorry, and a new project is where you master and release. So basically, that's where you bring your mix at and then master, okay? So see a bulk of the work being done here in this new song section, and then the final touches of your song being done with the new project setting where you are doing that. Okay, new show is simply basically if you're ever doing multi-track live recording or something like that. For example, a concert, event, church program, conference, whatever it be. Okay, so that's kind of what that is. Okay, and then here open is just you just opening a project just to load it up. Okay, that's all there is to it. Okay, so let's look at each of these things so you have a good understanding. Okay, so um a few things to keep in mind. If you have a studio name or whatever, or you have a record label name, you can come in this section and change it to that. If you like to produce a certain genre of song, maybe pop, you can put pop there. If you have a website, you can put it there. That is just basically for your profile, okay? And here in this section, that's where you can also set your audio. You don't have to only do it here. You can also do it at other places. For example, if you click configure audio device, it will take you there and you take care of it there. But over here, you can do it there as well and go and pick whatever device that you use, okay? And I'll get more into that very shortly. So let's go to the new song, okay? Okay, of course, there's recent files here. There's songs here, projects here. So basically based on all these files, what types they are, okay? So this is just everything. This is just breaking into category, okay? This is recent files, and this is just categorizing it, okay? Just that simple. Okay, so you go to new song, okay? You guys cannot see it, it's over here, all right? A few things pop up, and you're like, what should I do? All right, for the sake of time and me sticking to time, I have a few minutes left, okay? What you need to do is basically put in the name of the song here and then direct it to whatever folder you want it to get to, okay? And then whatever sample rate you want to record at, whether 48 or higher. I recommend 44.1 or 48, depending on your workflow. I don't see the average user needing more than that. Depending on what you do. But 44.1 and 48 should be good for you, as long as you remember that on your final export, you need to export in 44.1 for the sake of getting it accepted on, digital platforms, okay? Such as, iTunes, Amazon Music, and extra, okay? So you do that. Let's say I want to work in 48. You can pick 48, and your resolution, you can pick whatever you want to work with. 16-bit and 24 are, most recommended. It's all up to you. Like I said, if you export, you're going to be exporting in 44.1. That means you're going to be exporting in 16-bit, okay? You can work in 44. You can work in 24 and then export in 16. That's fine. You just cannot work in 16 and export in 24. That's not going to be a good idea. It's not going to be smart of you, okay? So the time base, okay? Very important, okay, that you understand the time base, okay? You can set it to bars or seconds or whatever you want it to be. Bars is preferable, okay? And then the tempo, if you know the tempo of your song. Say, for example, it's at the 138 because that is where my last song I worked on is at. But say if your song was 105, you can click 105, right? And do that. And then the song length as well is just basically is giving you the initial time, but it can be more than that. It doesn't really matter. The time signature, for the most part, 4/4 is good. If you feel like you are doing a different time signature, just set it there and do it. The key signature, if you know what key you're going to sing in, to make your project look neat, please do pick a key and go from there, okay? So I'm going to pick C, okay? All right. So now once I'm done, I'm just going to click OK, and then the project is going to open up, okay? And now you realize that every setting that I said is in there. Time base is to bars, okay? I'm recording at 4/4. My key is set to C. My tempo is set to 105. Okay, all those are there. Okay, so I know I said 10 minutes. I might have to break that rule and go a little bit over, but I'm not going to go more than 15. I don't think so. So just bear with me. Okay, so once you are here, okay, a few things to consider. Okay, you see a whole bunch of things. You are like, what do I need to do in here? Okay, so I just want to rush through it very briefly for you. Okay, so you can understand certain things. Okay, all right, cool. So again, um, when it comes to quantization, okay, this here is like a universal quantize or global quantize. Okay, this right here. Okay, it's like a global quantize. Okay, this is where you come to pick whatever quantization you want your project to be in. Okay, very important that you set it to the right quantize and you are quantizing your music so that it doesn't sound not on time. Okay, it's very important you understand what I'm talking about here. Okay, all right, good. So when on the right side, okay, a few things you're going to realize. There's home, there's instruments, there's effects, there's loops, there's files, and cloud, sharp, and pull. You're not going to need to worry about any of these if it doesn't fit in your workflow. You probably will end up dealing with anywhere from home to files most of the times, okay? All right, cool. So on the home screen, all right, you can see effects, loops, files. It's all listed for you just like it's there, okay? The first thing for you to keep in mind is when you come to your plugin manager, okay, just like that, you got to check to make sure everything passed and nothing is in the block list. If something is in the block list, remove it from the block list and then rescan, okay, or update, okay? If something failed, you probably want to put it on isolation by putting it on the block list or just removing so it doesn't affect your project, or simply just rescanning, okay? Update plugin list so it rescans, okay? So that's something very important to understand. Before you start a project, okay? We already did the setting. I'm not going to go through it. So go to Studio One, go to Options, okay? When you come to Options, make sure it's set to the right audio interface you're going to use to hear your music on, okay? At the same time, make sure you pay attention to audio device and processing, okay? So it's simple. Audio device tab is basically dealing with your how would you say, your recording content, okay? The content going in, okay? And then the processing is the content coming back out, okay? So depending on how strong your machine is, okay, I will advise you to set it anywhere between 128 to 512. 128 to 512 for most projects should be fine, depending on how strong your computer is. The lowest you should do is 64 if you feel you need that. For me, I don't do any lower than that. I'm always doing 256 or 512, okay? 256 or 512. And 512 is okay for my system because it can handle it. Okay, but the bottom line is this: you realize it says 12 milliseconds. The lower you go, the better time you're gonna get. Okay, so it's all about delay. But the whole thing is some of these delays you can barely hear. Okay, so for me, it's fine where I have it at. Okay, and then the processing, basically, you want a higher sample rate or higher block size, as Studio One calls it, so that you can it can handle your work. Because if you have it low, it might not be able to handle your work, and you might be getting some technical messages stopping you from mixing. Okay, so my advice: set audio device to a lower number, and then set your processing time to a higher number. A lower number between 128 to 512. Processing, you can use the profiles. For example, medium will bring you to 512, high brings you to 1024, maximum brings you to 2048. I don't think you need that. I feel like high or medium should be good. High or medium profile should be very good for you. So Studio One don't allow you to change it. So they just want you to pick the profile you want to mix at, okay? I advise you do medium or high. One of those is fine, okay? Medium or high. Okay, you can do maximum if your system can handle it. My system can, but I don't need it. So again, I don't worry about it, okay? And then the processing precision, okay? I'll just advise you, just use whatever your system uses, okay? If your system is a 64-bit system, just use that, okay? Don't do 32 if you feel like just because you think it's going to help make things easier. I would advise you use whatever your system is. It's a 64-bit system, just pick that, okay? And it's as simple as that here, okay? Now, In the general tab, there's not much to really worry about here. Keyboard shortcut, if there are certain key commands you are interested in using, this is the place where you would come and deal with. For example, if I don't want to use Control Tab for this, I can change it to whatever I want and then just remap it or change it, okay? All right, and that's all there is to that, okay? In Locations tab, okay, there's something very important here I want you to you know, think of. Over here, you can leave things the same. Over here, you can leave things the same. Nothing really, you don't need to worry about anything there. Sound sets, okay, you can leave here the same, all right, because for the most part, you installed it right, so you don't need to worry about that. Now, the part I want you to focus on is this last guy right here, okay? And that is VST plugins, okay? When you come here, okay, you are going to need to add all the locations you have your stuff at. For the most part, you don't need to have it as much as I do, okay? You can just simply have it at one or two places and just have it like that. For me, it's just because I'm always doing installations at different times and that kind of thing. So I just make sure I just add everything possible so I can have everything possible in there. It's all up to you. You can simplify it to one simple location and put one simple location in there so you don't have to worry about missing certain things, okay? For me, I want to make sure I'm getting everything, and so that's why I have a whole bunch of stuff, okay? All right, cool. So again, that's what you do there. If you feel like you need to go back to the song setup to change certain things, okay, the place you would do that is click on song setup and then come back and change certain things if you feel like you need to do certain things. While I'm at song setup, okay, there's a few things to worry about. If you want to put your artist name and all that stuff, that is going to be your meta information, okay, or metadata information. This is where you're going to put your artist's name, blah 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 blah, before you work on the song, okay. That is if it's important to you. If it's not important, get straight to the work, okay. For your audio and I/O setup, okay, the way it works is this, okay. For the most part, most interfaces are going to be a 2-channel interface, right? For the average user, okay. So you're not going to have all these channels, okay. This is only there because I use a 32-channel mixer, okay, and so that's why it does that, okay. It has all these. Now, if you're somebody who is just using a MIDI interface, all you got to do is just have the inputs, okay. Have the input 1 set to 1, have input 2 set to 2, mono mono. If you want to create stereo channels, you can do input 3 and 4 and then make that into a stereo channel. How does that happen? For example, on input 3, I can select this, okay. Okay, let me make it this way. So those are inputs, right? Or mono. I can add a stereo, okay. Once I add a stereo, it becomes that. You see how it's like a 40, 1 and 1. So for example, I think the easiest way is if I removed it, so it's easier for me to explain it to you. Okay, let me remove it, so it's easier for me to explain this to you. All right, cool. You see, for example, if I had one, I wanted to add a mono input, right? I'll do add mono, okay? Then I'm going to click on input 1 for that to show there, okay. If I wanted to make an input 2, I can make that an input 2. If I wanted to do a stereo, I would do this. Instead of it going to 3 and 4, I can make it on 1 and 2, okay, and I can create as many as I feel like I need or whatever, okay. So input 3 and 4 can be stereo channels, okay, and input 1 and 2 can be mono channels, okay. And that is what you're going to get in your program. You are just setting up for your program, okay. Now, on your outputs, the most important thing, make sure on your main, okay, you have whatever you're supposed to hear on selected. There are going to be times you come in your projects, you're not hearing the music. Just come to your I/O settings and then come and check this on, okay. And I'm going to show you how that works, okay. Cool. So I think you guys get the idea here. No. Audio setup, we have already talked about it. External devices, this is where your MIDI instruments get connected, right? Right now I have an Arturia connected, okay? I don't have this connected to it, okay? So I have my Arturia connected to this at the moment. All right, and for this, you don't need to worry about much, okay? You just have to have enable cross crosshair, cursor for tools checked. Whatever you feel like you need, just have it checked, okay? But the standard things you need to have checked, just copy whatever you see on the screen and just have it checked. I don't touch anything there for the most part. If you feel like you need to do, you want certain things, just come here and get it done, okay? So for the most part, this is just the project setup, okay? I know I went way over my time, so I'm going to make it a 30-minute video now, okay? And just knock it out because I don't want to, have to do this video again. Okay, so now that we have talked about the basic things about how this project work, okay, let's talk about how you make a beat. What are the certain workflows you need to get familiar with, okay? So for example, I'm about to start making a beat, right? If I want to start making a beat, one of the things I'm going to talk to myself about is the tempo, okay? Is the tempo good for me? Well, let me click record and hear it. Ooh, I can't hear no metronome. I don't hear the metronome, right? Let me make my video smaller. Okay, I don't hear no metronome, right? Well, guess what? It's because you don't have this thing that look like a metronome check. Click it, and then come to the record. I'm sorry, this toolbox here, and just make sure you tell it what to do. Okay, tell it what to do. If you don't tell it, it's not gonna do it. Okay. So for example, if you do a pre-count, and you do that, okay, and you were to click record. Okay, so remember what I told you guys. You can't hear it because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Remember I told you sometimes you'll be doing your project and you can't hear it? Okay, this is why you can't hear it. Bring up your mixer, okay, with whatever shortcut you use. I use X, okay? If that's not what you use, simply come to X, okay? Remember I was talking about this section? I forgot to talk about edit. Edit is where you're going to edit whatever instruments are here, edit, okay? And then mix is where you're going to see your mixer, okay? Right now you don't see anything, nothing is created, okay? And then browse is kind of this. If you want to get this out of the way so you have a bigger screen, just click on it and it's going to go away, okay? So now let's bring up the mix. You see this IO right here? Okay, click on that IO, okay? Now bring this up. Remember I told you if you don't do that, you're not going to hear it. And now you're going to start hearing it. So right now, keep in mind, metronome is going, but I'm not hearing it, right? The moment I click the metronome, I should hear it. You guys hear that? That's how that works, okay? But if I came in here and I said, okay, I wanted it to only come in at the pre-count, okay? What will happen is it will do that one time and then it will stop. Watch. And then it stops, okay? So that's how that works, okay? Now, how about if I wanted it to go about maybe two times? Then I come to the bars and I say 2 bars, okay? And now it's going to do that 2 times, then it's going to stop. Okay? And that's how that works, okay? Now, say I don't want it to do 2 times. I want it to do 1 time, but I want it to do click while I'm also playing back, right? Then in that case, or while I'm recording and not just only doing pre-count, okay? Then I would have to do this, okay? Do it this way. Uncheck the pre-count only, and then it's going to be back to normal. It's going to click while you're recording. So it's going to do it, and it's going to continue. You guys see it? It's continuing. It's not stopping, okay? So what if I'm listening to my music back? I've worked on my project. I've gotten to a part, and I'm still hearing the click in my music, okay? How do I get away the click, okay? The way you're going to get rid of the click is to simply uncheck this so that it doesn't click in play, okay? And then you won't hear no click when you're playing back. Although this is checked, you're not going to hear it, okay? You're only going to hear it if you're going to record. You guys see that? And now when you're playing back, it doesn't click, okay? So those are a few things. Those are certain things for you to know about a metronome and how the metronome works, okay? That's just the basics of it, okay? So now let's talk about the beat. I have a few minutes. Let's try and get something good going, okay? So say I'm here. I want to make a song. I'm about to do a new song, okay? So I have my project set up, all right? I click on my instrument, say I want to come to personas, go to presence and pick something from there. Let's say I want an EP, an electric thing. I pull it in. Okay, I have it now. So say I have that, right? All right, I just want to show you guys an example. Say I have that and I wanted to record something. Let's check how that will be. Okay, and you guys got that, right? And that's good. I'm not going to talk about anything else from here, okay? So now you have that. How do I create another track? Oh, I want to add a guitar. How do I add a track, right? Fine. You can right click here and just say, you can just right click here and just add track like that, okay? And you can just say, hey, I want to name it guitar, okay? Guitar, or maybe, yeah, that's fine. Guitar, and I want it to be an instrument, not audio, instrument, right? And then you can just say, I want that in there, okay? And it's going to put it in there. What if I didn't want that, okay? I just go to track, and I just go to add track here. Same thing, and I just click guitar instrument, okay? Cool. Say I like that, okay? And I'm like, okay, I want to add a guitar. Fine, I find a guitar that I want. Maybe I want a nylon. That's just an example, okay? And maybe I want that. I can drag it in. Well, not drag it in, but drag it onto the guitar track, okay? And then I can record something, okay? We have to fast forward. Okay, so maybe I have something like that I like, it's cool. Maybe I'm like, oh, I need to add a bass guitar, okay? All right, so maybe go back to presence, okay? Pull it in, okay? So you don't even need to create a track. You can just drag whatever you need in there. So for example, presence, drag it in there and you get to go, okay? Now, instead of finding it there, you're gonna have to browse through here now and just go find whatever you need, okay? So for example, I wanted maybe an upright bass, and maybe the full, let's see how it sounds. Okay, vintage bass, let's see, fingered. So let's just use the vintage, okay? So say we like that, and we wanted to use that, right? Okay, and so we're gonna record that in, okay? Okay, so let's just I like that. That's just an example, okay? So now you have a project, okay? Now let's talk about loop. How do you loop it? Maybe you're like, oh man, not how you loop it like in terms of loop duplicating or something, but how do you loop it so you can hear it back, right? Well, the way you do that is, in every door is always at the top, right? So at the top here, when you bring it to the corner of where you see the one, okay, you're going to just drag across, okay, and you're going to find whatever the shortcut is for loop. If you don't know what it is, then you come and click on this here, okay, and it's going to loop it. Either the icon or you find a shortcut for it. You can put it on it, and it's going to tell you what it is, okay? Okay, it says, it tells you there, okay? \L, okay? All right, it tells you. All right, so for me, I have mine set to L, is what it is, okay? And so when I click L, it's going to go. When I click L, it's going to come up, okay? So that's how I do my loops, okay? So say you wanted to loop it, right? Now you have a project, but maybe it's not on time. Hear it. So how do you put it on time, right? I told you set it to 116, right? So now watch what happens. I'm going to double click it so you guys can see what's happening here. Watch where it is at now, and watch when I quantize it where it's going to go to, okay? And then also watch when I quantize it what is going to happen in here and in here. Keep your eyes on the MIDI notes in here and also in the editor, okay? Remember, edit for editing whatever we are recording. Okay, cool. Now, somebody might wonder, what is this, okay? It's literally the same thing, but I was advised by Personas experts to not worry about in here, just always quantize right on the track, okay? Is what they told me, okay? So here, watch what happens. I'm going to just quantize with Q, okay? Q is to quantize right there, okay? Quantize. You guys see it? Or even right here, quantize, okay? So I'm going to click Q, and watch what's going to happen to this, and watch what's going to happen, right? I'm going to click it now. Boom, it quantizes. Okay, undo. I'm going to do it one more time. boom, it quantizes, okay? Then I'm going to go to the next one, boom, it quantizes. I don't need to come here and select and do it like we always have to do it. Just do it right on the track. Boom, it quantizes. So now let's hear it with the quantization. Maybe you're like, oh man, I wish I could add drums, right? And you're like, man, I wish I could add some drums. Well, let's see what we can do here. So for me, I could go ahead and just put on one of my acoustica stuff, studio drums. Okay, cool. So I could put one of my acoustica stuff on. Okay, so let's just say you like drums, right? And then I wanted to add drums, right? I can play something. Okay, playing the wrong thing. You got to get familiar with your stuff, right? Okay, you guys see how it is, right? Maybe I want to quantize it. Fine, click Q, quantize it. So now you have some drumming, right? All right, cool. You guys see how that works, okay? So now, one thing I want to talk about. You guys see this volume looking thing here? That's called monitoring, okay? You know how we always do input monitoring, right? Your input is this input here, okay, or your record, okay? But then there is monitoring, right? So remember, sometimes when you're in Logic, you will want the input monitoring. Well, that's what this is, okay? So both of it can be on at the same time, okay? If you want input monitoring, you turn both of it on, okay? That means you want to monitor what you are recording or what is being inputted, okay? So you guys see how it works, okay? So that is the basics of that, right? So maybe you say, I want to hear just the drums. You can click solo. All right, this is mute, this is solo, this is record, this is monitor, okay? Again, mute, solo, record, monitor. And then you can set the volumes here or click X. You see now we have stuff, so now the mixer is showing up, right? So a few things to consider. Say I was going to mix this. Say I wanted to mix this here, which I'll talk about in a different video, okay? But say I was to drag this up, right? Because right now it looks like this. There are certain things you don't see, okay? So say I feel like I need to see certain things. It's as simple as simply dragging up here and then dragging this up here, okay, and then dragging this up here, okay, if you feel like there are certain things you don't see. So it all depends on what you see in your DAW. See, for example, watch. It disappeared, right? You see? Watch. When it's very narrowed, it disappears. So when I drag, and I drag, okay, and I drag, watch it, boom, it shows up, right? So you know exactly what is on that track, okay? Cool. One of the things I've realized about Studio One is this. You're going to see you're clipping heavy a lot, okay? Don't get too worried about that. I've learned it the hard way. When you're clipping, don't let it scare you. Keep working, because sometimes you hear it sounds good, but you're clipping, right? Don't worry about it. Keep working. And then doing your final stage, come back and then tweak things the right way, okay? Because we want to record low. And so you don't want to be clipping in the beginning. One of the things I realized about Studio One is it just always will clip no matter how low you are recording. Okay, so just be aware of that. Okay, cool. So again, that is how you deal with this. I'm going to talk about mixing in a different video, so I'm not going to waste time and talk about it. So that's the basics of Studio One, okay? So while you are here, let's just say you like your song. Okay, let's just say I wanted to mix this song, right? Actually, let's do that in a different video. I think that will be more appropriate, okay? I just want to show you the basic workaround. Then we can do the exporting and stuff like that in a different video. So again, say I'm done with the song. I wanted to export it out, okay? I can just simply go to song, and go to export mix down. Okay, I'm going to do this again in a different video, by the way. Then here, pick the location where you want it to go to, maybe my desktop. Click my desktop, put it there, and then here put the name of the song. Okay, and then you can pick whatever you want. If you want it to do multiple files, select multiple files and do it. Most times I do wave and MP3. If you don't and you just want wave, you're just going to click wave. And again, if you're doing your final export, always 16-bit and 44.1 kilohertz. If you're not and you're still working, keep it wherever you started from and keep the setting in wherever you started from. For your final export, 16-bit, 44.1 kilohertz, okay? And then always select between loop. There's only one important thing I want to talk to you about here, and that is use real-time processing. It's a debate that we have been having. I'm going to take time to talk about that. When should I use it? When should I not use it? The bottom, in a nutshell, the basic way to understand real-time processing is you don't need it. Okay, the only time you need it is if you want to hear it, what you are exporting back one more time before you do it. But what if you have a 1 hour project? Do you have time to listen to a whole 1 hour project? Maybe you don't, and so you wouldn't want to do that. So you can get it faster, right? You can get it exported faster. In some situation, you may need it. In a situation where you are using external consoles or external analog devices where you need to export and then remix it on those devices, then you will need real-time processing because they are not going to be able to process it real time. It's just going to be whatever they receive and whatever clock it uses. Okay, so it's better that you export it the right way so that for the workflow that you are using it for. Okay, and so at this point, once everything is set and you, let's say I wanted MP3, okay, keep in mind I'm clicking and it's not checking, I'm checking. You always, at the very moment, you gotta have two checked, then you can click off it. If I don't, it's not gonna go away. Always have two checked before you uncheck something. Okay, so let's say I want MP3, I can put MP3, okay, and then I can maybe pick the highest quality or 128, depending on what I want, and then constant bit rate is always good. Okay, and I can just export it and it's just gonna start exporting. Look at how it looks like. Boom, like that. It's gone. Okay, and that, just like that, I have my song on my desktop. Okay, I'm not gonna show it. I don't think it's relevant. Okay, so that is the basics of Studio One. So in the next video that I'm gonna do right after this, I'm gonna be talking about the mixing and the exporting in the right way. Okay, so stay put for that one. That's going to be the next thing we are going to be discussing. Okay, so again, this is Sam Lab Tech bringing you this tutorial of an introduction to Studio One. I hope you guys have been blessed by it, and again, you guys are going to see me in the next video, and so just make sure to stay put and be ready for that. Okay, be ready for that video because we are gonna talk a lot about Studio One moving forward and just helping people get the idea of Studio One. Okay, all right. So again, this is Stein here with Sam Lab Tech, bringing you this introduction to Studio One 5 Pro. I hope you guys have been blessed by it. See you in the next video. Until next time, bye bye.